This was the last visit that I had with my grandma. She looked so perfect.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. I am your host, Alannized, and this is Noche De Pendejadas. La semana pasada les trajimos a una invitada chingona y esta semana no los voy a decepcionar. He's been a guest on the show not once, not twice, but this being his third time, Danny! How are you?
Didn't we just wake up together?
Didn't we just fuck last night? But how are you? It's been a while though since you've been on the show. Third time's a charm.
I feel like I am the host of the show now. I've been here so many fucking times. I feel like the first time that we were like, the reason why this is like my third time and this is like officially like my time, if that makes sense, because the first time we were filming with our phones and it was like the vertical way, and that was for IGTV, and then we moved over to this, and then that's when I did it with Irma and I got fully canceled, and then afterwards now I'm here and I'm super excited because it's like I'm finally gonna say things that I was never able to say because of, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, is like because of family. Like I was very scared that I was gonna be told a lot of shit, but now that I don't have any type of contact with anybody other than my direct family, like I'm kind of excited to say things that I'm just excited.
Before we get started with today's episode, you guys, let me go ahead and keep you guys up to date. Danny is my boyfriend. We've been together for 6 years now, but for today's interview, for today's episode, I kind of want to go ahead and disconnect myself from the fact that I know Danny, that like I live with him, that he's my boyfriend, and I kind of just want to kind of make him feel like I'm just any other host interviewing him and asking him questions. So if you guys see me asking him questions and you guys are like, pero tú ya sabes eso, ¿para qué le preguntas? Es porque hoy quiero sentarme en una silla bien de host y hacerle sentir like if it's someone else interviewing him. So vamos a empezar con la pregunta que le preguntamos a todos. Para ustedes allá en casita que a lo mejor no conocen a Danny, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him para que él nos diga un poquito más de quién es y qué hace.
I'm like, I don't do anything. I'm a stay-at-home husband. No, but on realness, like my name is Danny. Like nothing really new with that. I used to work for T-Mobile, but I don't anymore because things happen. And I'm trying to do YouTube full time now. So, it's going great. I just hit 100K. So I'm super excited for that, for more to come. I really just describe myself as a gay stay-at-home YouTuber.
Okay, so vamos a empezar con el chisme. We're gonna go straight the fuck in. And te vamos a preguntar la pregunta que yo a todos mis invitados les pregunto because I feel like it's super necessary to kind of get a little backstory of where you come from and how you were. So cuéntanos un poquito más. How was Danny growing up? ¿Cómo eras tú de chiquito? Cuéntanos.
Okay, so like realistically, like I said from the beginning, I'm still a little nervous because I just want to make sure that I'm telling my story correctly. So if I'm breathing really heavily, it's just because like I'm really nervous to say these things. I am a very private person when it comes to my past. And not only that, I just feel like every side has a different story and my side has always been kind of concealed because of that reason. It was just a lot of trauma and stuff like that. But anyways, so pretty much, as you guys know, I am, for the people that know and for the people that don't know, I hate saying it. I don't know. I just hate saying it. I'm an immigrant. I'm not from here. I'm not from the USA. I am from Mexico, el DF. From what I was told, I was here, like months like born. Like I don't even know, like I really don't know any of that story. Like all I know is that I came to the United States. One thing that kind of like refreshed while showering, I was like, damn, I remember this, was when we came to the United States, we lived actually in the garage of my uncle. He was very sweet to go ahead and give my family a home while we were here, and we lived in the garage, and I was so happy because all of our family was together. I've heard so many stories of how my aunts used to mistreat my mom and how they used to mistreat me. So that's kind of just all I really remember from when I was younger. I don't really remember much of it, but the one thing that I always will remember was that at least my uncle was there to kind of like help us out. You know what I mean? So yeah, we came to the we lived out of the garage, and then afterwards we ended up moving out because we ended up having Ashley. So we needed more space, and not only that, in the garage we actually didn't have a restroom. We had a shower in my uncle's house. So my mom just kind of got fed up with having to argue with my aunt and stuff like that, and my mom kind of was just like, we need to move out. We need to move out. Who cares if it was a roommate or whoever it was, but we need to move out. So when we moved out, we finally got our own apartment, and then we ended up rooming with my mom's actually closest friend. Her name's Yolanda. And, you know, for a moment, it was actually really good. Like, my mom has a lot of home videos of where we were most of the time happy and stuff like that. But, you know, I knew that I was gay already. So, like, with being gay, I was fucking chismoso. So any type of yelling or any type of, you know, like, just very not happy moments, I was very nosy about. You can noticeably see me sticking my head out, watching my parents fight, you know, or like seeing them struggle, or, you know, having my dad be kicked out, or even my dad not even coming home most of the time. So it was just very different growing up because I just didn't understand these things, and I was a very vigilant child. I knew what was going on. Like, I knew what fighting was. Like, it wasn't something different to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then just like after that, I kind of just don't really remember much because my mom tried to kind of like conceal everything and make sure that me and my sister were happy and we were well off, and, you know, made sure that we were okay. But for the most part, that's kind of all I remember until everything just kind of went really like dark after that. I knew the exact moment where everything kind of just twisted and it kind of made my innocence kind of go away.
You talked briefly about, you know, your childhood, but how were you as a teenager? You mentioned that you, from the very beginning, you knew you were gay. How were you en la escuela? ¿Cómo te fue a ti en la escuela?
Well, let's go back to when I actually found out that I was gay. I don't feel like a lot of people know this story, because like that's like a little traumatic to me. Like, I don't want to be made fun of anymore of it. You know what I mean? Like, when I was younger, when I was starting like 7th and 8th grade, you know, I was starting to understand my sexuality. So with understanding my sexuality, I was a little bit more feminine. Like, I would like talk a little bit more feminine. I would like, you know, like do that little hand thing, like, and then like go like this. And I still do that till this day, you know, but it was not known in a Mexican family. Like, I would get bullied pretty much every single time that we would go to my aunt's house or my grandma's house. And, you know, it sucks as much as it sucks to say, not only were my cousins involved with my bullying, it was also my sister. And it just kind of took like a toll on me because I was like, fuck, like, not my cousins don't accept me, my sister is bullying me, people in school are bullying me, and I kind of was just like, what the fuck? Like, why am I dealing with this? Like, I'll just fucking come out and say I'm bi. Might as well. Like, I'd rather just come out with something so that it doesn't hurt me anymore that these words are being said. As I kept growing older, I kind of got a little bit more comfortable with my sexuality, and I started saying, you know, fuck it. Like, I'm gay. I don't care. Going towards like high school, I went ahead and like started dating guys. Like, I was very noticeably gay. Like, I made sure that my sexuality was known. There was even a rumor during freshman year that I wasn't gay. Like, I was just doing it for attention, until I started dating someone. I started making out with him in every single fucking corner, and that's how everyone knew I was gay. But, you know, the reason why high school was I wish it was kind of like a little different, the way that I understood like life and stuff like that, because I was a try hard. I was very trying to make sure that everyone liked me. I was very popular, make sure that people knew who I was, but I didn't do it in the correct way. I remember this story where, you know, there was a guy, one of my gay friends at the time, like this dude. And I know this is horrible of me. I regret it till the day I die. I don't care. There's a guy, he was my friend, and, you know, he would talk about this guy that he really, really liked. And me knowing he was in the cheerleading team, I was like, I'm going to get known because of this. Watch. So I went off and I started texting this dude on Facebook, and, you know, it started going good, and we ended up started dating, and he ended up finding out, my gay friend. When my gay friend found out, he ended up like going crazy. I gave him a bear for his birthday because we were really good friends. So like we would give each other like good gifts and stuff. So when I gave him that bear during English class, pinche dramático a la verga, he went ahead and fucking cut up my bear in front of the whole fucking class, bitch. And I had the same teacher. So I was very motherfucking attacked. I knew that I did something wrong, but come on, my bear, bitch. That was $19.99 at CVS. Oh, dude. And then after that, I was just kind of very known because of that reason. And then just sophomore year kind of came up. It didn't really get erased. And then junior year, I kind of just didn't really give a fuck anymore. Like, I was just like, fuck it. Like, I don't want to be known as this person that, like, you know, takes men away. And then afterwards, just senior year, I kind of just didn't give a fuck anymore. Like, and I just didn't really let them faze me anymore. Like, I was just like, all right, well, it happened. I learned from it, and I can't go back and change it. So might as well just regret it and live with that and just kind of move on and grow from it.
So, you know, you touched really briefly on the fact that growing up, you know, your cousins bullied you, your sister bullied you, and because of that, you felt almost obligated, almost felt pressure to coming out, kind of to conceal the, you know, the damage that the words that they were telling you were affecting you. Do you feel like now looking back at that, do you feel like you wish you could have like waited for like the right time where you were okay with sharing your sexuality to like everyone around you?
I feel like there was never a perfect time to come out. I definitely was pushed, but I was very noticeably gay. Like, I knew that I liked men. Like, it was just very noticeable. Like, it wasn't something like a surprise. It was just it wasn't known back then. We're talking about maybe like 2010. Like, we were still fighting for our rights to get married. Like, and especially in a Mexican traditional household where people were coming from Mexico barely, and they were pretty much my age, which was I was like 10. They didn't know any of that stuff. Being gay was wrong. Being gay was a sin. Being gay was not normal. So I was I felt like I was gonna be like pushed back from my family, or I was going to be kicked out of my home or do any of that. I gave very little signals to my mom and my dad and my tios and everything, like, oh, like, what do you feel about like gay people? Or I would put on like a gay show where like people were like kissing, guys were like kissing and making it normal. Like, it was just normal. And none of them ever felt uncomfortable. None of my uncles or any of that. So when I came out, I was blessed enough to, that kind of stopped all the bullying within my family. Like, it was just like, oh, okay, he's gay. Like, what else can we call him? So they called me puñetón after that. I was like, all right, well, then I guess that's a new thing. So I don't really give a fuck because I didn't even know what the fuck that meant. So, you know, it was all right. It was all right.
So for a lot of people that watch, you know, Alannized and Danny's content, you know, you guys recently, you know, if you watched a recent video that, you know, we did together, we touched really briefly about your relationship with your father. For those of you guys that don't know, Danny's parents got divorced very early on into your life. How do you feel, if you can tell us a little bit more about that story and how you feel like their divorce affected you in a positive or maybe even in a negative way?
So I just kind of want to clarify that they were never married. They were never, you know, they were divorced because, like, you know, they had kids. That was pretty much like the proper way to say it. But they just kind of got on and off. Yeah, they were juntos, but they were just on and off, like all the goddamn time. Like, it was just and I was like, I understood these type of things. And I had a lot of people tell me like, hey, like, you know, your dad's doing this, or your mom's this, or your dad's this. And like, I had so many mixed emotions. I was the center of everything. Like, it was very known that, you know, my parents weren't happy together, and everyone rubbed it in my face, and everyone was talking shit about my mom. Everyone was talking shit about my dad. So I kind of had to make my own assumption as a child to be like, nobody's wrong. They're both my parents. They're not harming me. They're just harming each other, like, emotionally, you know? And as I was growing up, I was super upset. I was so sad that my mom wasn't happy. I was so sad that every single day of my life I wasn't going to be able to see my dad. I only saw him for a couple hours or one day, or, you know, just for a short period amount of time. There was times where me and my sister would wake up in the morning because my dad promised us that we would either go to the swap meet or go to the park or go to Disney, wherever the fuck it was. I was spending time with my dad, and to find out we were all ready, we were waiting an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then my mom kind of just like, let's go get something to eat. 5, 6, 7 hours, my dad didn't call, and the day was already over. And I kind of just like, oh my god, bitch, there's so many more. I kind of just remember like going into my room and just like crying and making like, why would he do this to us? It's not our fault. It wasn't our fault. It was never our fault. We got brought into this world to get shown love, affection, like all of that, like, and I didn't get any of that from my dad. Imagine having like a whole ass puzzle piece and you're missing that one fucking piece. It's, your puzzle piece isn't complete. You're gonna be sad. You're gonna look for it everywhere. You're gonna go ahead and want to make sure that this puzzle piece is complete, but it never was, and you could never find the piece. It was just always looking and finding and trying to understand why he did this. As I kept growing up older, you know, my dad started dating, my mom started dating. I never had a problem with my mom dating because my mom tried to conceal it as much as possible that she was dating other people unless it started getting serious. Then she would introduce us and stuff like that. But my dad started dating, and when he started dating, there was a huge issue with the females he was with. There was always issues where, oh, don't go pick up your kids, like spend time with me. And he would prioritize these women other than us. And my mom very noticeably understood that. And me as a child, I would understand that. I would always tell him straight the fuck up, like, you prioritize these women other than your children? Like, how much of a piece of shit do you have to be to prioritize another human being that's only going to be temporarily in your life? Nobody can make you as happy if they're not going to go ahead and accept your children or your flaws or your past. So it was just so much more difficult when you have another human kind of just bickering and telling him, don't go see your children, don't go see your ex, don't go, like, I'm afraid of that, like, don't do any of that. And it was just even more traumatizing on top of that, because it was just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't do anything. I still go on to this day, like, I didn't do anything to you. One thing that I remember very vividly is my mom and my dad tried to go ahead and get back together, and it was actually a couple weeks after my birthday. And the little Danny, like, dude, this makes me so sad. Like, every single time that I had a birthday, my birthday wishes were always pushed to the side. Like, let's say I wanted a new fucking Xbox at the moment, I didn't want that. I wanted my parents to get back together. So imagine me sitting down in a table and having to, like, think every single time that I would blow out my candle and I would fucking say, like, I wish my parents got back together, and they never fucking did, and my dad was such a fucking piece of shit. Oh my fucking god, this gets me so pissed off. And there was a time where my dad and my mom tried to get back together, and I remember one time I was trying to hold my mom. My mom was like, Danny, your dad's outside. And my dad came upstairs and he was carrying me on his piggyback, and I was so fucking happy. And it's just how can you do that to a fucking child? I was so fucking happy at that fucking moment, and my mom tried so hard to make it work. And then for him to fucking just betray us, cheat on my mom, hurt me, and then still had the audacity to go to his fucking family and fucking play this narrative that she was in the wrong, or that we did something wrong, or that we don't. Oh my fucking god. I don't cry. I swear Bible to you, I don't cry on camera. I don't need you guys to feel sorry for me or anything like that. It's just these type of emotions I've never ever in my life spoke about. These are private to me. Like, these are cherishable moments that I just kind of I wish I could forget. But as time goes by, I understand that this is what made me grow up. This is what makes me tougher. This is what makes me stronger than anybody else. And I have the chance to kind of understand and help others understand that we're not alone. We have ourselves. And I will always fucking give props to single moms, because fuck, dude, like, fuck, like, as a child seeing it go so much, like, just like, I don't know, there's just a lot.
Do you feel like as a kid, when your parents, told you guys that, like, oh, you know what, we're going our separate ways, we're separating, did you ever feel like, did it ever cross your mind, like, okay, they're leaving each other, but did it ever cross your mind, like, oh, does that mean they're leaving us too? Or like, did you at the beginning think like, okay,
I feel like
going to change with us?
I feel like as a child, you kind of you kind of just think straight. You don't think about possibilities. You don't think about, will he do this, or will they do that, or you just kind of want a happy ending. And who doesn't want a fucking happy ending? Who doesn't want to have the privilege of having two parents? I don't, like, as much as they hated each other, there was one moment in time that they loved each other. And imagine having to see that as a child. You have both of your parents loving each other for 5 minutes, and then afterwards he just kind of just doesn't come around anymore, and you just don't know the reason, and then you just kind of keep getting told shit about each other, and you're like the middle person. Like, it's just crazy to me, like, how I endured all of that information as a child, and all those emotions and all of those understandings. And now as an adult, I completely understand why my mom tried so hard to give us a family. But I feel like if I was a child with this type of mentality now, I wish I would have told her, it's okay, you don't have to anymore. You don't have to endure this pain. You don't have to endure this manipulation. You can just move forward and live your best life as the strong woman that you are. You know what I mean?
You obviously touched on, your parents' divorce and how that affected you. And obviously, not a lot of you guys know, but you've talked about it in your videos about how your on your mom's side of the family, you guys have 0 people here in the States.
Just to kind of like clarify, my mom only, realistically, her grandma passed away just 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago, and then her mom passed away when she was her mom was like 33. And then she only has her brother. So like her brother came over here, and then he left back to Mexico, and she realistically doesn't have any family here. So that's kind of like, like my mom's side of the family. Because
your mom didn't have much family here, actually no family here, most of your family, you can say, was all through your dad's side. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like when your parents, divorced, when your parents went their own ways, do you feel like your relationship with your dad's side of the family changed?
I feel like my mom had always tried to give any type of respect to that side of the family. She didn't really give a fuck about what they said. My mom would have, when she would go to work and there was nobody to take care of us, my grandma was there to always take care of us. And, it was always at my aunt's house. My aunt lived with my grandma. Or I'm sorry, the other way around. My grandma lived with my aunt. And, we had no other option to stay with my grandma. My grandma would always take care of us. I've always had an issue with my aunts and uncles kind of just talking shit about my mom all the time, that she's a slut, is a puta, like she will never find a man, like she's over there being a slut with other men. That's why she goes to nightclubs every single night. And as a child, you kind of just don't want to hear that. So there was a time where I just kind of like fucking put my big boy pants on and kind of just like was tired of it. So I kind of just started talking shit to all of them and was like, bitch, your mom's a puta, bitch. Like I would tell my cousins that too, like, your mom's a puta too, bitch. Don't ever fucking forget that too, like it was just kind of like a comeback as a child. I would stay most of the time with my grandma. My grandma took care of us most of the time, like, and my grandma was a real one. Like, I swear Bible to you, she was very real with you. Like, there was a moment where my dad went to jail because of drugs, and she straight up told me, she saw me in the corner. I was watching, and I remember this very vigilantly. Like, it was very, very noticeable that I was calling my dad. I had my own cell phone. I called my dad every fucking minute, and I was like, why isn't he answering? My grandma came out of her room, and she's like, ¿qué estás haciendo? I was like, le estoy hablando a mi papá. And then she goes, oh, okay. And I was watching TV. I was still calling him. She was making dinner, and she kind of just like pulls me to the side where she was cooking. She's like, ven mijo, ayúdame a cocinar. And as we were cooking, she straight up just goes, I'm gonna be voy a ser honesto contigo, pero porque yo sé que eres un niño grande y tú ya entiendes mucho más que tu hermana. And then she goes, you're the reason why your dad's not answering. And just remember, she didn't speak Spanish. She didn't speak English. So I'm just saying it in English because I don't really remember like exactly what she said in Spanish. But she kind of just said in the lines of like, your dad's in jail. And that's when I bursted out into tears. And, you know, my grandma just kind of held me and she told me it was going to be okay. Like, you know, this is a little bump on his road and he'll get some help and he'll get fixed. And then I just kind of wiped my tears and I told her why. And she goes, because, you know, he's been doing a lot of bad things with a lot of bad people. And I go, but what? And she's like, tú no lo vas a entender ahorita, pero te lo digo más al rato. And that's kind of like when I told my mom he was in jail. And, you know, my mom was trying so hard to get us full custody of us. But you still have the other side of his family kind of just bickering like, you're a slut, you're a bitch, you don't know how to take care of your kids, you're always out in the nightclubs and, you know, all of that. And I remember this one time my mom came to pick us up and the cops were outside of my aunt's house. And we were kind of right there with the officers. And I just kind of remember my aunt just kind of like pulling us. And she's like, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And I didn't understand it until like I said, I was a fucking nosy ass kid. So I kind of overheard everything. And she was like, the cop was like, yeah, this is child services. And I just kind of, for a moment in time, I just kind of stood there and I was like, fuck, my life is over. My mom's going to go back to Mexico. And my dad's going to fucking take care of us. I'm not going to see my mom anymore. And it was just so fucking hard being the fucking adult of the fucking thing. Imagine my mom was working so hard to fucking make sure that me and my sister were okay. So I had to pull on my fucking big boy pants and fucking be the man of the house. And as much as my mom will say she took care of us and she was always there, my mom was always fucking there. But me as a child, making sure that my sister was never shown these type of effects on her, I would always hug her and make sure that she was okay and she never saw any of these things. And that's something that I pride myself on so much, that my sister still to this day, bless her fucking heart, she still has this image of my dad being an angel and his family never doing stuff. And I'm so proud of myself for never letting her go through that damage as I did. And as I grew up older and my mom would drop us off more frequently with my grandma, she would take care of us. And I grew this relationship with my grandma. And every single time my cousins came to come bully me or push me or fight me or whatever, my grandma would always get them in trouble, make sure that, hey, leave Danny alone. No le hablen así. And I had a lot of moments with my grandma, and she tried so hard to conceal me, to make sure that I wasn't in any type of pain at that moment with her. You know, I remember also when my grandma started getting back pain, and my mom picked us up one night, and she would tell my mom like, oh, fuck, like I have this really back pain. And she would be like, no me quieren llevar, ni mis hijos me quieren llevar al hospital, tengo que caminar yo y irme en el bus, porque todos andan trabajando, nadie tiene tiempo en mí. And my mom would be like, quiere que le lleve yo. My grandma and my mom never had an issue with each other, but my grandma kind of always knew that she had issues with her kids, and she didn't want to have a problem if my mom and her were like close, and her kids having to tell her, "I don't hang out with her." You know, don't. How do you say, like, don't hang around with her anymore. Just don't. You know, and a couple months passed by, and you know, I'm doing better. My dad kind of just has his own life, and my mom had her own life. You know, like, as much as my dad was such an asshole bringing us around with his now wife, that, you know, he says that he loves her so much. They always had a problem with this. His direct family, which is like his wife now, they always had a problem with us. So I was doing so much better with understanding, like, okay, like my dad kind of just has his own life. I was already a teenager at the time. So my grandma just went on to live her life and still with the back pain. And then we took her to the hospital. They took her to the hospital. Actually, she went to the hospital by herself and they told her that she had cancer. And then when she found out she had cancer, I didn't really understand it until she went to the hospital. And then she kind of just like was making sure that in front of me, at least, she was strong. She was, dude, I fucking hate crying. She was just making sure that I was okay. And you know, my mom tried so hard after work, like go straight to my grandma. My grandma even knew my stepdad, and she would always say he was a good person. That's why I love him so much. You know, as the time went on, I remember one time that this was the last visit that I had with my grandma. She looked so perfect. And you know, they say that when your health is so up and you're boosted, that's kind of just like the last moments that you're going to take. And I'm so fucking happy I took those moments. She watched, you
want to take a break?
She watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs with me. And she put it in Spanish because she didn't understand it. We were watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and you know, we were having a good time. My grandma was telling her how she was feeling better. I was feeding her. There was nobody in the room. It was just us. And you know, that moment will always stick by me. I still have the sticker of that day, and I remember it very vigilantly. It was June 11th, and you know, that night I went to sleep, and I went to sleep outside in the sala. I don't know why I went to sleep outside with the sala with my mom's friend, and we were outside, and I just kind of feel my mom waking me up, and she goes, I need you to be awake. I need you to bring a really strong person for me and your sister. And the friend was just there, and she's like, just tell him. There's no easy way to say it. She goes, your grandma passed away this morning. She passed away 3 hours ago. Fuck. And then she goes off to say, now she passed away, and I run straight to the restroom, and you know, kind of just like my little hope of my dad side that someone truly did love me besides my mom. And she would tell me stories of my dad, so it kind of just got me more comfortable. And to even top it off, the day of my grandma's funeral, my mom's best friend, which I've mentioned to you guys before, Yolanda, she took us to her funeral. And I still don't know why to this day my mom didn't go, but I'm sure for a fact it was because she didn't want to fucking see my dad's face or his fucking wives or, you know, just everyone, and for them to be like, why the fuck are you here? So she took us because I know for a fact that Yolanda was a strong bitch and she would fucking fuck up anybody if they were there. And as I was walking down the aisle coming back from watching her, like her casket, my dad, after not seeing him for almost 2 fucking months, had the fucking audacity to be like, ven hijo, ven, te quiero dar un abrazo. And Yolanda, oh, dude, that's why I love her so much. She pulls me closer and she goes, no, don't fucking hug him. You have no right. And we sat in the back of the church because we knew that they didn't want to associate anything with us. We knew. I just want to say, like, not all of the family was bad to us. Like, my padrinos, bless their soul, like, they were the kindest people that they were with us. Like, they never got into anything. They try to give us love. Well, then my other tios too, they try to give us love too. There was only specific ones that were out there. And then my grandma had her room, and then she one of my aunts, my aunt that she lived with, she didn't tell me, nor she didn't tell my mom that all of the kids were going to go into her room and take one thing that they would remember her by. And then as I grew up older, I didn't know because I wasn't told this information until one day one of my cousins pulls out a perfume, and it smells very noticeable. It felt like home. I swear, Bible, I fucking hate her so much for doing this to me. She pulls it out and she goes, and I go, dude, this smells really good. Where did you get this? She goes, that was my grandma's. And I go, what? And I go, she goes, yeah, that was my grandma's. And I go, are you talking about my grandma? And she goes, yeah, our grandma. And she goes, where did you get this? I go, where did you get this? She goes, oh, my aunt let all the kids go into her room and take something from her. Oh, bitch, I fucking hate her. I fucking hate my aunt for doing that shit to me. She took that away from me. Oh, fuck. When she took that shit from me, I fucking finally understood that I don't want nothing to do with them anymore. As I grew up older, till pretty much not too long ago, I finally came to understanding that as an adult, I have the choice not to have any type of relationship with them. You know, I tried my hardest to have a relationship with my dad. I tried my hardest to have a relationship with his family. And every single time it was just a disappointment after disappointment. You guys know the story. Yeah, I just told the story about how my dad fucked up my credit because he's pocketed money from my sister for her car. But the other stories you guys don't know about how one of my aunts kept in contact with me because of Alan, and they wanted to know him because they were supporters of him. Like they wanted, like their kids would watch him. So they would be like, oh, like, let's go out, Danny, you and your boyfriend. And then there would be times where like, oh, like, you know, when are we going to meet your boyfriend? Or come, like, we want to meet him. And to find out they only wanted to meet him because they were watching him. They were really big supporters. So I was just like, bitch, like, you don't have the privilege to come into my life and just use me again for that. So fuck you. So after that, I stopped talking to them. And then to start off with my dad, when I started having a good communication with him, he had the audacity to ask me for $1,000. I'm sorry, it wasn't even 1,000. I believe it was, no, actually, yeah, $1,000 to take out his car from the repo because his car got repoed. Imagine me having to speak to him only 2 months and then already asking me for money. Like, I was like, let me think about it, and never spoke to him again after that. And then I tried my relationship back again. We tried to help out my sister. He fucked me up. And then not too long ago, I found out he fucked me up even more. So I have the choice to not speak to them. Blood is not thick enough to keep those type of relationships with them. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm a very strong person now. You guys obviously see me cry on camera because these are type of emotions I've never ever spoke about, and I never really understood until I kind of just talked about them very much now. As I keep growing as an adult, I will continue to understand why these choices were made, and I understand now that these people were not good people. They were evil. They were evil to me. They were evil to my mom. They were evil to everyone. I'm so happy that I'm able to tell not just my story, but my mom's story, because she went ahead and took all of the bullets for us. As much as she tried to conceal it from me and my sister, it didn't work as well. It went through me. But now I'm so proud of where I've come, and I'm so proud of where I'm going. And, you know, this is kind of just like a big fuck you to the people that thought that I couldn't do anything. And it really was like that. They really, because I didn't have papers, because they thought that my mom wasn't going to accomplish anything or have a family or have a roof over her head. They all thought that we were going to be nothing. We were never going to get out of the ruts. We were never going to get out of the ghetto. We were never going to get out of anything. We were just kind of just going to be stuck in a room, sharing a room and not doing anything. And I'm so proud of where I come. But, you know, it just comes out with growing up. So over this shit, get me out of this show.
So, you know, before we end today's podcast, I ask everyone the same question. If there's something you can go ahead and tell little Danny, what would you tell
fucking
him?
bitch? Fuck you. I fucking hate your questions. I feel like I'm on RuPaul's Drag Race. Takes out my little picture. But I feel like I would say it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, and kind of just ignore it. I feel like being a chismoso sometimes doesn't have its benefits. Just kind of be a kid, be happy. Things will happen, and the reason why I don't give hugs now or anything like that, I believe hugs are deserved. But fuck, I wish I could give myself a big hug. I swear, fucking Bible. But you can't go to the past unless you have a fucking time machine. So, I just, hopefully, now that I spoke about this, it's just kind of, it heals my inner child, because I really do need it.
All right, you guys. So with that being said, we're going to lighten up the mood a little bit. Before we get going, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, hopefully I'm fucking married with Alan, because this bitch is fucking taking forever. My fingers are getting fatter, so let's try to get this ring on before they get even fatter, okay?
And they explode. Boom.
No, but I genuinely, as I see myself doing more YouTube as full time, I just kind of want to. I genuinely don't have a very clear pathway. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I wish I had my own business. I wish I had this. I just want to be successful. I really do. I don't want to do it for myself. I really just want to do it for my mom and my siblings. Fuck, dude, I don't understand why I'm so emotional right now. I just want to do that, not for me anymore. I want to do that for them. I want them to have the life. I still know that I'm still the man of the house. I still know that I want to take care of my siblings and my mom. And that's my ultimate dream. So, I've always said it, and I'm going to say it now. Alan is my biggest inspiration. I don't give a fuck if you guys say anything. Alan is my biggest inspiration. He takes care of his mom and his family as much as he can, and he takes care of me. So that's where I want to be. I want to be able to take care of my mom, my sister, and him. Because, God, I endured so much fucking pain to not be able to use that as an advantage, and to kind of just be like, fuck you, bitch. I was able to do that, and all you did was cause me pain, but that pain is gone, and now I'm using that as fuel. You understand? You get me? I don't know.
All right, you guys. So with that being said, this was a super emotional video. And I'm going to go ahead and put like my little boyfriend cap on and, give him a hug. And, I want to thank you. Danny's been, when the idea of bringing back Danny on Noche De Pendejadas, by himself, we've been talking about this for a while, and he brought up the idea of finally speaking about his past, because I feel like now that he's really dedicating himself to YouTube, he felt like he wanted people to really know him for him, and not just see him as like a clown, as a rude bitch, or as
I feel like I conceal a lot of my pain with laughter. And I have, with everything, I try to enlighten things, because I just don't want to be sad anymore.
Yeah, so I really want to say thank you so much for, coming on the show and opening up a little bit more about, your life, your backstory, your upbringing, and really sharing with everyone that's watching today, your livelihood. And I hope you guys listening to today's episode, maybe you guys can get something from this. Maybe if you guys have gone or are going through similar situations, you guys can realize that it gets better. And, it's okay to talk about, traumatic shit that happens, because that's the only way you'll heal. So With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Don't forget to go ahead and follow Danny on all his social medias, which I'll leave down below so you guys can go ahead and be a part of his community. And also don't forget to follow me on all my social medias. That way you guys won't miss an episode. And with that being said, thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye guys.